Can you believe this? We're about to launch the 5th season of the country's most embarrassing home renovation show. This year, the nation's 5 most abysmal amateur home renovators will be coming here to beautiful London, Ontario, to see if they can save the historic but quite condemned Delta Upsilon fraternity house. Can they do it? I sincerely doubt it. This is Canada's worst handyman.
The saw doesn't like me.
Determining the identity of Canada's worst handyman is always a painful process.
Oh, son of a...
This year, we met 300 horrendous candidates, all nominated by you.
My name is Justin. I have nominated my brother,
My husband, my partner,
my buddy,
my boyfriend, Andrew, for Canada's worst handyman.
We'd like to let all of these folks into our rehabilitation center.
From here it looks.
It's definitely crooked.
Okay.
But merely being bad isn't enough.
I'm really not too sure how this works, and it's really super hot.
We've only got 5 spots in rehab, and those rooms are going to the types of people who put butter knives in outlets. These 5 folks are Canada's worst handymen. From Spring Grove, Alberta, we've got Angela.
Oopsie.
Then there's Matt from Elmsdale, Nova Scotia.
Done.
Then there's Simon from Cape Breton, Nova Scotia.
Nobody does it in one cut. Not even a professional.
Dean is next. Dean lives in High Prairie, Alberta. And finally, Corey comes to us from Burns Lake, British Columbia. As the bad builders enter their new worksite, the loved ones who nominated them are waiting inside with hard hats.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Oh, thank you.
Hi.
Welcome to the Delta Upsilon house.
Thank you.
My name is Andrew. I'll be your host, and this is your project.
This old frat house has a lot of old ghosts hanging around, and one of them is
Canadian cultural icon, Mr. Alan Thicke.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alan Thicke. This house was built in 1896. Delta Upsilon bought it in 1954. I was a frat member there in the late 60s, even lived there for my summer after graduation. Your task will be to renovate the first floor kitchen and the second story bedrooms. And good luck. Do your best, because whoever does the worst will be proclaimed Canada's worst handyman.
Thanks, Alan.
No problem, Andrew.
Everybody, off you go. Claim your rooms. Get up there, everyone. Come on, let's go.
upstairs. Each bedroom door has been sealed shut with boards crudely screwed in place. These boards aren't so much an obstruction as they are a personality test. To get into his room,
Holy man, we have to get in there.
Dean tries high-sticking the door. Corey attacks his lumber with a chainsaw.
And you sure that's the safest way to get in?
And the tool of choice for ex-military man Matt is his boot. Woo! Down the hall, our oldest nominee doesn't know if he's coming or going.
This reverse? Let's try the other way. Doesn't work. Oh, come on.
And our only female nominee is battling her entrance
I can't even get in. What's wrong with me?
and her husband.
How do you turn this on?
Dean has a circular saw at home,
Oh, there we go.
but he uses this one like an axe. Eventually, a door is opened by Corey.
There's my room.
Simon manages to break
Hello, come in.
and enter. And hockey player Dean fights his way inside.
We're in. Whoa, give me 5.
The only person left working
Oh, for fart's sake.
is Angela.
Slow but steady wins the race.
I believe other people already won, considering they're already in their rooms.
When Angela gets in her room, she learns somebody will be watching her every move.
Look, it's Alan Thick.
The reason Alan is here is so he can oversee all of the work being done in his old fraternity house.
Hi, buddy. That couldn't be a nicer guy. Oh, that's awesome.
Also in their rooms
Welcome to Canada's worst frat house.
is a sheet of paper that says,
Welcome to Canada's worst frat house.
Canada's worst frat house.
Your personal task here is to completely renovate this room.
The renovation will include about 20 challenges.
20 challenges.
20 challenges.
This year we have projects that involve concrete.
Projects that involve electricity.
Projects that involve carpentry.
Oh, this is huge.
And as always, projects that involve patience.
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 Oh dear. Ow!
This is no fun anymore. Seriously.
I'm gonna cry.
Frustrated!
Don't do that to me.
Oh, I'm ready to quit.
every project involves patience. But this year's fraternity house theme will create some sophomoric behavior.
This is crazy.
This is an eye-opening educational experience.
Give her.
And it's an educational experience that is hands-on.
Did you staple yourself?
Yeah.
Over the course of 16 days in rehab, lots of serious lessons are going to go down.
Whoops.
Can Canada's worst handyman learn enough to save the Delta Upsilon house? Or will the house be too much to handle?
That thing's done.
When we're done, the biggest failure in rehab will be named Read the Instructions Man! Canada's worst handyman.
Another failure.
Right now at the Delta Upsilon house, there's only lumber and dreams. So, the bad handymen are starting their project on a shopping spree.
We've brought you here to the one store that has everything you need.
To make sure the handymen know what they need, we've given them each a binder that lists all 245 tools and supplies they'll require in rehab.
All right?
Holy man.
To do this shopping trip, each handyman gets $4,000.
Thank you.
Like a true Canadian, Matt takes the money and runs to the duct tape section.
Definitely gotta get a roll of the old duct tape.
In the history of Canada's worst handyman,
Door hinge.
we've never had a nominee with more experience than Matt.
I already built the house. Yeah.
Matt's not exactly up to code house, is in Elmsdale, Nova Scotia.
This is the place that I built.
In this neck of the woods, no one minds when Matt drives his snowmobile over a bare lawn that has his power supply running on top of it.
That's the main power wire to my house. It should be probably a foot or 2 feet underneath the ground. Just never really got around to it.
Matt hasn't got around to a lot of things.
Birds were getting up in one spot there. We ran out of side and the roof needs to be redone too. It was, sunk down about 2 inches, 3 inches. So we just left it.
We includes Matt's friend, Silent Keith. Silent Keith refuses to talk about Matt's cracked wall, his disastrous flooring, or his loose sink.
This and the bathroom was done in, I would say, no more than 6 hours.
Which is why the kitchen counter matches the one in the bathroom.
We never really took our time to do it right.
Matt's raised shower is hardly a step up.
I had a drain all set up, but it was up off the floor. It wasn't in the center. Never really thought it through. So I gotta put a dimmer switch in.
Believe it or not, Matt wants to be a professional builder.
My dream job would be to have my own company as a contractor.
Before that can happen, Matt needs to respect building codes.
I hate the person that has to be rate the code, saying, no, this needs to be done this way. Like, if you want it done that way, just suggest it. Like, well, maybe you should do it this way.
Building codes aren't suggestions because bad handiwork can be lethal.
Ooh, that's live.
When we come back, the shopping concludes.
Holy crap. Tim, we're already at $3,000.
And we see where the rest of Canada's worst handymen live.
It's a Simon job.
This should be interesting.
The nominees for Canada's worst handyman are on a crucial supply run, armed with a very specific list.
Level.
Level? Maybe a level? What do you think?
Yeah, we need a level.
Level. What's a level?
A level
Looks like a nice one, eh?
is just one of the 245 items they have to buy.
Oh, look at the beautiful gloves.
They also have to get
Wires, tin snips.
2 10-foot lengths of ABS pipe, some faceplates for switches, sandpaper, clamps, a brad nailer, an extension cord, chisels, hinges, pliers, and a big jar of putty. And they have to get these items for less than $4,000.
Level with digital, just $60.
Get it?
No, I'm not getting that. No way.
I'm getting it.
That's way too much money.
The materials they get today will be used to rebuild the Delta Upsilon Fraternity House in London, Ontario.
Oh, just was nice we need that.
If all the items on the list aren't purchased, the work simply can't be done.
Yeah, I seen we need a bicycle rack. Ladder.
We need some clamps, Linda.
Yeah, well, that's what it says.
On the level, Simon needs more than just tools.
Oh, I might need this.
Simon needs to learn how to stay on track.
He's pretty mixed up here right now.
Does he just get caught on one thought
Yes.
and he sees a different color and
Yes.
then he's on that thought and then he
Yes.
sees something shiny and
That's
he's on
right.
that?
Very, very much so. You just described him to a T.
Simon's lack of focus has led to a history of trial and error carpentry.
Linda, how's his trial and error carpentry going?
Not good. Not good.
That's not nice there.
Simon lives in North Sydney, Cape Breton. And the total renovation he inflicted on his basement is the reason we picked him for our show.
I honestly don't know why I was picked.
Simon recently retired as a teacher. Now, the golf enthusiast spends the winter months puttering around his bunker.
All I have to do is slow down. Because again,
It's
Linda, I
impossible.
can
That's
do
impossible.
everything.
You're so hyper.
On the day we met him,
80 inches will do.
Simon's plan was to put trim around this door.
It has to be done right.
after an hour and a half.
Nobody can go fast at this kind of work.
Simon finishes the job.
It's a Simon job.
Incredibly badly.
The best I can do, Enda. There's a crack. There's a crack.
A big crack.
Sometimes the most frightening cracks that appear in Simon's basement appear in Simon.
He's always cutting himself. He dropped the ceiling on his head.
Back at the supply store,
Oh, my Lord of Lord.
Simon wants everything, but is getting nothing.
Okay, what does it say, Linda?
Oh my God.
What Angela is looking for
Tool rack.
4 saws in one.
It's stupid.
is her husband's support.
This stuff is crap.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Trying.
In Spruce Grove, Alberta, Angela lives with Matt, who says she is
Terrible at everything she does when it comes to renovations.
I wouldn't say terrible.
Terrible.
No,
Horrible.
not terrible.
She never finishes anything she starts.
one thing that clearly never finishes
I paint properly.
You paint terribly.
are the fights started by Angela not finishing.
You told me we were living here forever.
That's your excuse
Yes.
for painting terribly.
Yes.
We're gonna live here forever.
So I have time to fix it if it's forever.
Great.
70% of our arguments are based on me not finishing things.
Angela doesn't finish things like
This. Every single handle. She put the wrong door back on. The curtain rod's all screwed up, and there's 4 holes for every rod. If you look closely, you'll see that that's stapled to the drywall. She's taped it. It's not done correctly.
Why don't you fix it then? It's been sitting there for 2 years.
Because you started it.
being on our show may finish Angela.
If I was Canada's worst handyman, I would put down my tool belt and retire.
That's awesome, really?
Yeah.
Back at the store, the belittling continues.
Lock and drive screwdriver set?
No, those are hard.
At least those are tools.
Where's the hockey stuff at? Hey, buddy, where's the hockey stuff? I'll take that one.
Dean is supposed to be buying tools,
Will I get in trouble for buying this?
but he's letting his twin brother Doug locate the items on our list.
I'm done, bro.
What are you looking for?
I'm done.
Tools.
What tools?
I think we're done.
No, I'm done. You're not done. I'm done.
In High Prairie, Alberta, we'll begin the tour of Dean's home by checking out the monumental, nail-free tower of lumber that he stacked up to stabilize his air conditioner.
See how solid that thing is holding? Yes, you are Canada's worst handyman. Idiot.
Dean doesn't really like to get off the couch. The family basement has looked like this for 5 years.
I don't even have a clue where to start or what to do.
Dean recently bought the supplies to finish the room,
This is, I think, a gun. Some kind of gun.
but he has no idea
Is this what you call drywall?
how the parts go together, which is why his brother says he's not smart.
I lined it right and it's not sticking, so I don't know what's going on. That's not fair you to say I'm not smart.
Hey, brother, you're not smart.
Back in the store,
Where's my brother when I need him?
Dean is still not looking for tools.
Brother, where are you?
He's looking for his brother.
Hey, brother, where are you?
Corey is looking to cut corners.
Hi there. Can I get someone to help me with the little list I have here?
Like what?
Just an employee to help me out, pick out some of this stuff.
In Burns Lake, BC,
That smells flooded.
Corey was trying to cut corners when we met him. But it wasn't really working for him.
There's how many rec rooms?
Other one,
And I don't know where it is.
Corey was made a worst handyman nominee by Kim, his fiancée.
She seems to think I'm bad.
You are.
Corey isn't bad at doing rough kinds of work with his hands,
For a living, I am a licensed automotive technician.
but when it comes to finesse work, things tend to get broken, like the mirror.
When it fell down, I got a little mad and punched a hole in the wall.
Corey filled the hole with a product designed to mimic steel.
Typically, you just use this body filler for car repair.
Now he's onto the second coat.
The landlord's gonna be mad at you.
Not once you paint it, sand it and paint it. We get some money shaved off the rent if we fix a few things around the house. I could fix it though.
Corey has tried to fix this drawer before, but each time he's gotten too angry to finish.
Try not to get too mad and break this frickin' thing. Fixed.
Does it pull out?
Oh, no.
I can fix it?
No, forget it.
But it's still broken.
Done. Done with that crap.
Back at the store, the nominees for Canada's Worst Handyman are starting to hit the cash registers.
What happens if we go over the 4,000?
What do you think happens?
I don't know. I'm not putting anything back.
Matt comes in just under the $4,000 budget.
So did you get everything on your list?
No.
On Matt's list, there was 245 items. He got 180 of them, and a few extras.
Black lights, ice bucket, blender, all the good stuff. We were definitely putting a bar in.
If Angela had snapped today,
Yeah.
it would have been understandable.
I'm over budget.
Why are you snapping at
I'm
me?
not.
Angela's not going to get better until Matt stops playing head games.
Don't forget your head.
Simon is about to go over budget.
Andrew, what do I do?
Simon stops checking out and calls it a night.
I'm short of material for sure.
Dean has had the worst shopping trip.
Doesn't do.
The tools Dean did get were thanks to his brother Doug.
He thinks I'm stupid sometimes, but I'm not actually that stupid.
Corey is returning a 42-inch TV,
I feel like a jackass.
but he's still $12 over budget.
Hey, how much did we get for Canadian Tire Box?
Corey's due to get 17 Canadian Tire bucks back.
So.
Oh. So yeah.
So Corey uses the famous currency to pay back the amount he's over.
And that's how you go over budget while remaining under budget.
When we come back, Canada's Worst Handyman each make a trunk.
I'd put boots in that.
Before Canada's Worst Handymen came to our rehabilitation centre, we needed to know exactly what they know about carpentry. So we asked each of them to make a trunk. And we told them this trunk has to be so strong that they can literally, get on it.
To make the trunk, we're supplying 1 sheet of plywood and an assortment of hinges, handles, corners, and clasps.
Holy crap. I don't even know where to start.
Neither does Dean.
Hey, wait, hold on. I need some hockey tape.
While Simon
We're gonna cut it.
plans his trunk out through interpretive dance, Matt's plan
Calculator.
is to not waste any wood.
0.5 divided by 5.
Angela starts by measuring and then cutting herself.
Oh.
Oh, dear Lord.
To cut her plywood, Angela's putting it on the floor.
All I can say is don't wreck my floor or my saw.
Angela sets the depth of her saw blade,
Don't wreck my floor or my saw.
but it isn't set deep enough to wreck the floor or cut the wood.
Oh, crap.
After a readjustment that's very well scrutinized, Angela gets off to another less than sparkling start.
I screwed up.
Followed by a very sparkly finish. Now the floor and the saw blade are wrecked.
Wow.
The word wow comes to mind whenever Canada's worst handymen cut plywood. Corey is intent on using his far from precise chainsaw.
Didn't say anything about how pretty it had to be.
Dean is cutting along lines marked with hockey tape. And Simon...
Oh, baby.
Simon wants to fire up his table saw.
Well, I gotta find a way to turn it on.
But he can't reach the on-off switch.
What the hang are you doing?
A table saw would be fine for this job, but...
I'll finish it with the jigsaw.
Simon would rather use an inadequate tool than create enough space to work.
Not the best.
When all his pieces are wickedly sliced, Simon clubs his trunk together. Dean uses nails that are slightly larger.
I can't get this damn nail in there.
And Angela uses screws.
Oh, for fart's sakes.
But her drill is unable to hold onto its bit, so putting the trunk together requires constant reloading, followed by more reloading, and then reloading. And reloading. Corey's trunk has beaten corners and gappy sides, but it's ready for its lid, which is too small.
Measured wrong.
Simon's lid is also too small.
That's not gonna be enough, is it?
Dean's lid is also too small.
There's a big gap there.
Angela's lid is also too small.
You know that cardinal rule that you gotta add a frickin' inch?
The cardinal rule.
Will it be 5 out of 5?
I just realized that the top's not gonna work.
Yes! Matt's lid is also too small. Canada's worst handymen really are this bad.
Beer break.
When we come back, Canada's worst handymen build workbenches.
Let go.
Okay. For their first challenge here in our rehabilitation center, the nominees for Canada's worst handyman will each be making a workbench from scratch. Now, normally, we'd give a class on how to build something this complicated, but to see what the candidates know about materials and structural design, we're letting them build their workbenches all on their own. But first, let's go upstairs and meet the two people who will explain every building project to you. Introducing our experts. Our tallest carpenter is Jeff Woodmansey, a lifelong tradesman who runs his own general contracting construction company. His rehab center partner is Gail Prosser-Craig. Gail runs a home restoration company with an all-female building staff. To make a workbench, the experts will make legs, then attach them to a frame and add a top to it. Pieces called stretchers and braces will hold everything in place. Gail starts by making L-shaped legs.
I'm putting my legs in an L shape because it makes it stronger.
While she does that, Jeff has made a frame that he attaches the workbench top to. When that gets flipped over, the legs go where table legs go. They get screwed in place. And to prevent future wobbling, pieces called stretchers are added.
They work great. They hold the table nice and tight.
To make everything even tighter, Gail uses corner braces to join the legs to the work surface. When the bottom shelf goes in, Trim goes around the perimeter,
We're just eliminating the rough edges.
and this workbench is done.
Teamwork.
The expert's table took 55 minutes to build. Corey starts his workbench with no plan.
All right, I'll just start building.
Dean has a strange plan.
Bottom piece up here, bottom piece up here, bottom piece up here, bottom piece up here.
And Matt starts with a ladder.
There's our workbench.
Matt's idea
Get it done quick.
is to make a sawhorse the same height as his folded ladder. To do that, he's using prefab brackets, and that's it.
It's a little bit higher than the other one, but hold me up.
Down the hall,
Oh, my Lord of Lord.
Simon is his usual scattered self.
Trying to figure out.
The thing will go up itself.
He starts cutting with a circular saw, then he moves on to a hand saw,
Should have the other one.
then he gets attracted to a jigsaw, and then he switches jigsaws.
Where's the other one? This one might be better.
This one could actually use a sharper blade.
Is it supposed to smoke like that?
Huh?
Next door,
Oh, no, no, no.
Corey's legs are getting sucked in, but I'm not getting sucked into Corey's claim of being a
Visionary.
And what vision was that? This?
It'll get better.
It gets smaller, but it doesn't get better.
Done?
Done like dinner.
Like dinner. Well, that's a fail.
What?
Corey's table has a distinctive look.
Looks like
Matt's workbench also looks like waste.
It's good to cut on, work on.
This is not gonna cut on. This is like this.
Matt's table isn't a table.
I never had no training, so it's always my way is the right way. I need to know the right way, so that's why I'm here.
Angela is ready to start drilling.
So I'll need a Robertson #2, please.
Oh, really? Wow, it's pretty technical.
Matt's constant negativity
Killing me.
is sure to inspire worse work.
Holy crap.
What? I think Angela could do better if her husband wasn't anticipating failure.
Oh my God, are you almost done?
How would you do it?
I wouldn't do it this way.
It's not a classical table design, but the cube that Dean makes is working for him.
That's a work of class, bro.
The rickety trunk that Dean made at home had a top that didn't fit, but
That's a workbench, man.
Dean's workbench is solid.
I passed. Yeah. It's like scoring a goal, brother.
Simon's workbench
Oh, this is cute.
is only thigh high.
There.
Pass or fail?
Oh, I definitely passed. Come on now.
In Simon's world, everything gets a passing grade.
You know I passed all my kids when I was a teacher, huh? Never failed any.
Angela knows that fixing her too short sawhorse leg will involve minor surgery.
Do you want to cut? Do you want to take it apart?
No, I'm going to take these out and go downstairs.
Either way, it's painfully slow.
Following those pleasantries, surgery is canceled.
Okay.
Pointless braces are added, and
It's a little bit wobbly, but
Angela's table is a lot wobbly.
I hope I'm not Canada's worst handyman. I really do.
When we return, the kitchen gets demolished.
Stop!
Demolition is dangerous business.
In Canada, demolition accidents usually involve people getting hit by stuff, people falling down, or people overexerting themselves. But still, it's work that has to be done. The next challenge for Canada's worst handymen is demolishing their kitchen.
Demo.
demo. The demolition of this decrepit kitchen is the start of a much bigger idea. The idea is to replace everything in here with brand new stuff.
Every cupboard is going to come out. That range hood is going to come out. The sink behind you is going to come out. Everything is coming out.
Before the demo begins, I hand out gauges that will show if the wiring is still live.
Stick it anywhere there's electrical, and it'll make that sound.
If it makes that sound, the electrical breaker must be turned off.
Your only breakers that involve this kitchen are through that door there.
The water lines have already been shut down. But before any electrical breakers are turned off, the team begins ripping things apart, including the dishwasher.
It's connected under the counter, the electrical, the water, it's all connected still.
Just be careful, or you might want to detach the dishwasher because we don't want to wreck the plumbing.
Angela's right. The plumbing pipes that feed this dishwasher should be salvaged.
There, now rip her out.
Dishwashers pull a lethal amount of electricity.
Good pull.
Matt hauls out the entire unit, destroying the plumbing and shorting out an electrical breaker. We've had some dangerous groups in the past. But this carefree bunch is beyond dangerous.
Oh! Remember, did the power get turned off?
No.
No? You're kidding me.
No. Do yourselves a favor, turn off the electrical.
Still got power. There you go.
When the power is turned off, Dean starts pointlessly wailing on the countertop.
That's gonna be a pain in the butt.
And Matt starts unscrewing the vent hood, with no one prepared to catch the monstrosity.
That thing's gonna be ready to drop like a stone.
I don't know what this does, but I'm gonna try it. Oh.
Perhaps trying an unfamiliar reciprocating saw isn't the safest thing to do without any instruction.
Broke.
It's hard to believe, but every day in just the province of Ontario, 60 people are admitted into emergency rooms because they fell off furniture.
Stop.
That is not a ladder.
And even more unsafe, this vent hood is not securely attached.
The fasteners are out, that could fall at any time.
Yes, sir.
So let's stop, reorganize, someone take control of this group.
Instead of having a meeting, the team just slowly resumes work.
We gotta get organized.
Is there a broom? Does anyone have a broom?
Stop! 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 We came down here because there was panic, and it's continuing.
Yeah, the experts came down and gave us and that made us rethink what we were doing.
When the 5 heads come together,
Kind of lift it up.
the 10 hands work safely.
Like a professional.
Woo!
But when Matt handles a problem solo,
What a bitch.
Oh, we got a bleeder.
he becomes a victim instead of a worker.
As you can tell, I cut myself a lot.
The good news is, everyone still has an opposable thumb.
Awesome.
When we come back, Canada's worst handymen face our experts.
We're gonna be honest here, and it might be rough on you.
The nominees for Canada's worst handyman spent this episode breaking into their rooms, building themselves new workbenches, and demolishing the house's old kitchen.
That's gonna be a pain in the butt.
Now it's time for the experts to do their final inspections starting with Corey.
So how did this episode go for you?
Pretty good.
You come in chainsaw running.
Yeah, got in real quick. Yeah, I just kind of skipped the safely part.
Coming into the room with a chainsaw is ridiculous. It's way overkill. You know that yourself.
No one got hurt, though.
Well, you don't take criticism, well, do you? You don't like
I
that
don't like
at all, do you?
I hate it.
Well, I'm not finished.
Jeff also doesn't like Corey's far-from-level workbench.
You're right.
We're going to be honest here, and it might be rough on you.
That is.
The workbench in Dean's room is great.
It's strong. You can work off of this very well. You've reinforced everything.
Matt is the most experienced handyman here, but...
As soon as we went upstairs, you know, I called it that I was the worst for today.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Why?
Just half-assed.
Matt's first workbench was useless, so he made this one, which is almost as bad.
Okay, so I would call that a fail.
The table in Angela's room is also a fail because of its pointy legs.
They're not flush to the floor.
Exactly.
Simon's floor is remarkably dirty.
Your room's a pigsty.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
Are you Canada's worst handyman?
You know I'm not. Look at a nice table.
Matt is the worst this episode, according to Jeff.
For starters, the guy's jumping on top of a stove to take down the hood in the group challenge. I don't think his table was anything to talk about. I thought it was the worst.
Well, and he also nearly electrocuted himself with the dishwasher.
I don't see an argument. I see Matt as the worst, straight up.
Corey is this year's first worst, according to Gail.
Chainsaw happy Corey.
They both cause problems with safety today. But at the end of the day, my deciding factor is the work tables. And Matt's is far worse than Corey's.
For me, chainsaws with 20 people around is complete horror movie slaughter show, and that scares me, especially with his bad temper. Corey's the worst.
There is some good news before I name the worst.
So, let's talk most improved. Whoever is most improved in each episode will receive this golden hard hat, which symbolizes being the foreman in our next episode's group challenge.
Nice.
The most improved handyman for this episode is the person who could not make a trunk at home, but was able to make a workbench here.
Yeah.
Dean, I'm talking about you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You did really good work.
Woo!
Good job, buddy.
Great job. You did a great workbench.
And now it's my sad duty to name the worst. And I'm looking at you two. The worst in this episode is the person who drew their own blood.
I called it.
Matt, come and take your picture off this wall.
And hang her on the wall of shame.
You got it, sir.
Matt's headed for the Hall of Shame because his work this episode
It didn't say a stable workbench, it said a workbench.
had the worst results.
Oh, we got a bleeder.
You know how this works.
Yes, sir.
You deserve this dishonor?
Most definitely. Safety first.
All right. You all can go. We have some homework. Let's go up to your room.
Where do we go?
Because Matt never completely finished his workbench,
All right, Matt. Homework time.
his homework is to write, "Am I finished?" on his wall, so he can remember to ask himself that question before he stops working in his next challenge.
Finished work is detail, right?
Yeah.
Is that finished?
No.
How do you know when you're finished?
Have you seen the pictures of my house? Not finished.
What isn't finished in your house?
Bathroom, kitchen, living room, bedrooms, the whole house. I know deep down that it needs to be done. I just need somebody to tell me what to do.
Finish?
Yeah.
On the next episode of Canada's Worst Handyman, the nominees make a loft bed.
Alan Thicke would like this bed.
Their closet doors get resized.
There's gotta be a better way than this.
And they assemble plumbing products.
We're having a nightmare of a day again.